What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's talk about the Stanley Cup. Game 2 was last night between Florida and Edmonton. Florida wins 4-1 to go up 2-0. First period was a little bit crazy. Edmonton didn't have a shot until like the 8:40 mark or something of the first period, and that shot was a goal on 4-on-4 from Matthias Ekholm. Florida outshot them like 10-3 or something in that period, or 8-3, and they still were down a goal. Then in the second period, really nice goal from Nico Mikolov. It's only his second career playoff goal in 44 games. He's been on a lot of good playoff teams. I think he was on the St. Louis team that one, or the teams after that were still good. He was on the Rangers a couple of years ago. When the Rangers traded for Tarasenko a couple of years ago, he was in that trade. Now, obviously, he's in Florida. Yeah, I think he was there last year as well, so he's been in the Cup final 2 years in a row now. He's got a good shot to win a Cup now with Florida. He has only got 2 career playoff goals. That was a really good pass and a really nice one-timer. Then third period, Evan Rodriguez scored to give the Florida the lead early in the third period, and they tacked on an insurance goal and an empty netter later in the game to ice it. Florida, I gotta say, Florida might be the best defensive team in the league. Obviously, you have a phenomenal goalie in Sergei Bobrovsky, who obviously was the best in the finals. In the playoffs, he's a completely different breed. Right now, the best 2 goaltenders, at least when it comes to playoff time, are Igor Shesterkin and Sergei Bobrovsky. I don't think it's that close. Jeremy Swayman had a great postseason this year. Maybe his postseason just this year, he was one of the 2 best, but just overall, the 2 best goalies. 2 best postseason goals in NHL right now. I know Andrei Vasilevsky all time. You got to put him there, obviously, but last 2 postseasons, he hasn't been all that great. And he's on the backside of the square, looks like it's Igor and Sergei Bobrovsky. And really, whatever order you want to put him in. Igor's obviously phenomenal, but Sergei is also just absolutely incredible. He stole game 1 for Florida. Florida did not play very well in game 1. They got outshot like 34-18 or something, and they won 3-0. Sergei stood on his head in that game. And, Edmonton couldn't get enough shots. They had, 8 shots in the first 2 periods. They finished with, I only think they had 20 shots the whole game. And, Florida pretty much dominated. It was weird. Like I said, the first period, Florida was actually on, 6-0, for, the first 11 minutes of the game. At one point, Edmonton took a 5-minute major. And then Florida took a penalty, which made it 4-on-4, and then Edmonton scored. Also, they're being outshot. They have 1 shot on goal in the first almost 12 minutes, and they're up 1-0. It was crazy. And obviously there was 2 on Florida in the third period. Florida could not get going on the power play. Their power play really all postseason hasn't been great. Edmonton had cut off 35 straight, whatever it was. Their penalty have been phenomenal the whole playoffs. And then Evan Rodriguez scores a power play goal to take a 3-1 lead. And at that point, you're like, yeah, this game's probably over. But Florida wins. They go up 2-0. I picked Florida in 6 for a reason. Look, Edmonton's great. He's great offensively, but outside of the top 6, they're really not giving you that much. The only player in their bottom 6 that's somewhat of a threat is Evander Kane, to be honest. Warfel is a fine 4th liner, but nothing more. Matthias Janmark, same thing. They're pretty good defensively. Evan Bouchard is really good. He's had a great playoff, but he struggled last night. Darren Nurse is a good player. But I know Skinner overall has played well lately, but he's not that great of a goalie. He's never been good in the playoffs. He's a borderline starter in the NHL. His save percentage coming into at least the beginning of the playoffs, or at least at some point in that first round or second round, was one of the 4 worst save percentages ever for a goalie in the playoffs. They look at Florida is really good offensively. They're deep offensively. They are phenomenal defensively. They got, decent power play, really good penalty kill, really good goaltending. They gave a Hall of Fame caliber coach in Paul Maurice. There's a better hockey team. They're more experienced. They should win the series, no problem. I think Edmonton could get a game at home. They've been very tough to play at home in this playoffs. But if it's 3-1 going back to Florida in Game 5, when I picked the Florida closes it out. I picked them in 6 in the beginning, and right now it's looking like Florida in 5. Florida's just the better team. There's a reason they've outscored Edmonton 7-1 in the first 2 games. The Milwaukee Bucks hired Darvin Ham to be their top assistant for Doc Rivers. I like his hire. He obviously was with the Bucks prior to taking Lakers job for a while as an assistant. I think he should get another shot. I know his first go-around wasn't super successful, but at the same time, like, the guy couldn't coach. It's the coach over there. Let's be honest. The roster was also horrible. Like, oh, he's got Taurean Prince in the game in the fourth quarter. I was like, is there really that much more that he could do? Like, what's their starting line? Is it D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, Hachimura, and Davis? And their bench is what? Like, what is on their bench? Like, not much. Like, I don't know what he was really supposed to do. I mean, yeah, at one point, not starting Austin Reeves at one point earlier in the year was not a good move. And late in games, he didn't make the right adjustment. Didn't adjust at all. His quote on how you stop Jokic, he goes, "Oh, I don't even know what to do." It's like, all right, on one hand, yeah, how do you guard Nikola Jokic? But on the second hand, you're an NBA head coach. That's not the answer you should really give. Especially when you're down 2-0 in the first round to a team that swept you the year before, and you've been talking all this smacks ever since the playoffs ended, saying we're going to beat them next year, and now you're down 2-0, and anyone that thought that they were going to lose in no more than 5 games was delusional in that first round series. People on Twitter trying to say, "Oh, Lakers going to win." I'm like, what are you talking about? Denver is 9 times better than them. Lakers match up horrendously with that team. I'm like, no, they're not going to beat them. I didn't even think they were going to get a game. They were lucky to even win Game 4 at home. So, but Darvin Ham is back. I'd like to see him get another chance. Now he's back in Milwaukee as an assistant coach. And the Pittsburgh Steelers extended Mike Tomlin for 2027. He get the 3-year extension. He's the longest tenure head coach in the league. No, they showed a before and after picture is when he was signing the contract when he first took the job 17 years ago, back in 2007 or 2008. And now him signing the extension now as he goes into his 17th or 18th year as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was talking about this, I think pretty sure it was off camera I've talked about this. Like, he's a great coach, Tomlin. He's going to the Hall of Fame one day. 17 straight seasons of 500 or better. He's won a Super Bowl. He's dragged quite a few really porous rosters to 8-9 wins. But at the same time, I'm not sure if they've been out of the second rounds. And I don't even remember when. They won the Super Bowl in 2008 or something. And to be honest, I don't remember the last time they were out of a second round. They haven't won a playoff game since maybe 2017, maybe. And then they lost in the second round to Jacksonville, the Saxonville team, and that to me was their best chance to win a Super Bowl. And they kind of blew it. We all knew Bam was still a really good quarterback. He was only getting older. He was towards the end. Le'Veon Bell's contract was coming up. We obviously knew that situation wasn't great. We knew, Antonio Brown was, I guess he was still in his prime. Obviously, we don't think we're going to go as haywire as they did. But, and the next team was getting older. They almost beat the Patriots that year in the regular season, who were the 1 seed. And that was actually the Jesse James game where the touchdown gets called back. And then on the last series of the game, Ben had the fake spike and got picked to the goal line by New England. That great game. I thought Pittsburgh was going to beat New England in the NFC Championship that year in the Global Super Bowl and was going to have a shot to win. And the best team in the NFC that year was Philadelphia. Obviously, Carson Wentz, who was the MVP candidate, gets hurt. Yeah, it turned to Nick Foles. Obviously, things worked out a little differently with Pittsburgh losing him in the second round. And of course, Foles goes on the run of his lifetime and ends up winning the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles against the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl that year. But that was their best shots. And they've been a really mediocre team for years now, at least 4, 5, 6 years at this point. The Steelers are not a mediocre franchise. They've won 6 Super Bowls. They've got some of the greatest players ever have played for their franchise. They are a championship level franchise. They are a very proud organization. Very well-run organization, always have been, probably always will be, to be honest. Just going 8-1, 9-8, 10-7, losing in the first round every year, and just probably getting pummeled in the first round for the most part every year is not Steelers football. And I look at this roster, it's not that good. I mean, the quarterback situation is murky, obviously, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I still have questions on the offensive line. Well, they have a pretty good defense, and overall, their offense outside the quarterback is pretty good. Obviously, Arthur Smith, I think, if nothing else, is a better corner than Mike Canada, at least. But if they go like 8-9, 9-8, miss the playoffs at some point, I think it might be time for a change. But if nothing else, he gets some most out of some not so great teams for the most part, and he is a great coach. And so most things like I've talked about before, like at some point, you can't just be celebrating Talkin with 9-8 again, and you should be like, all right, maybe if we're stuck in mediocrity, maybe we should kind of start over and make a change. That being said, if he was available, I would be screaming for my favorite football team, the New York Jets, to hire him. And by hire, I mean don't give him an interview. Just say you're hired, whatever you want, get it to him. So he's a great coach, and the Steelers extend him for another 3 years. And Christian McCaffrey is on the Madden cover this year. I think it's a good choice. He had a phenomenal year last year. He was an MVP candidate. He had over 2,000 yards, 21 total touchdowns. The guy is an absolute beast. He's the best running back in the league. I would say one of the best 10 players in the league. In the entire NFL, not one of the best 5. You could argue he should have won MVP last year. I don't have a problem with that at all. And that would have been cool. Maybe you have Jason Kelce and Aaron Donald, because 2 legends that retired. Or I know you thought maybe you had a quarterback on there, but I think McCaffrey is perfectly fine. Also, like, the Madden curse is the real thing. There have been guys who've been on the cover. Antonio Brown was on the cover, and it seemed like right after that, he went downhill. Peyton Hillis was on the cover, and he fell off after that. So, like, there have been guys who've been on the Madden cover, and then all of a sudden their career fell apart. So, it's really that big of a deal. Plus, most fans will probably tell you they're more excited for the new college football game coming back, which comes out in, I think, like a month or so, month and a half, than Madden. So, Christian McCaffrey is on the Madden cover. Shipping to UConn, of course, UConn basketball. Apparently, Dan Hurley has a 6-year extension offer from UConn on the table for $50 million. I'm sure UConn is realizing, after Hurley showing hurt out the Lakers, I'm sure a team in a better situation will call him at some point over the next couple of years, possibly even next year. Well, from a bag to leave, and at some point, he might be tempted to leave. If you don't want that. They gave him an extension last year, I think 5 years for $32 million. So if I did my math correct, that's $6.5 million a year. Now he turned down a little over $11 million a year from the Lakers. If a team goes even higher, for and even more years from what UConn has, they're probably worried. So let's do our best to keep this guy here for as long as we can. Blame them. So he's that's a little over $8 million a year on a 6-year deal. That's a pretty penny, and obviously he's got a great thing going there. So it's an extension he has from UConn. I wonder this the other day. I wonder, do you think he did this just to try and get more money from UConn? I wonder if that's what he was doing. He was like, he's like, I'm not taking a Lakers job. You kidding me? It's a horrible job. I'm not leaving UConn. But it'll scare the crap out of UConn. Like, oh no, this guy's gonna leave. That's all. That's all from another huge extension. Even though we already did that last year, maybe just to make more money. Who knows? Maybe he told his wife. By the way, I'm not taking a job. We're not moving to LA, but I'm just seeing if UConn will freak out and give me more money, and maybe work out of that. But overall, right move to stay at UConn. I do believe that's the right move, and he has that on the table, so we'll see what he does with that. All right, continuing my NBA offseason series. I'm doing 5 more teams today. I'm doing every other Eastern Conference team besides the Boston Celtics. I'm going to wait to do them until they are done playing in the finals. They're probably going to win since they're up 2-0. So let's start with the Indiana Pacers. Of course, Indiana had a really good year, won their first playoff series since 2014 when they had Paul George on the team, and then going all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals before they were unfortunately swept by the Boston Celtics. Of course, their number one concern needs to be Pascal Siakam. You got 3 first-round picks and 2 players to get him. Got to re-sign him. I'm sure that will be the case. I'm going to give up 3 firsts for a guy, especially of Siakam's caliber, if you're not going to re-sign him. And he wants to stay in Indiana. He seems happy. They can offer him the most money as well. 2 other guys who are free agents are Doug McDermott and Obi Toppin is a restricted free agent. So they traded him last year because they knew his contract was coming out. So James Johnson's a free agent, the guy who apparently is by far the guy that no NBA player wants to get into a fight with the last couple of polls. I mean, he's not the greatest player in the world. He's a bench warmer, but he is a big guy. So Indiana does not have a first-round pick since they give it up to Toronto. They do have 3 picks in the second round. They have a 36th pick, the 49th pick, and the 50th pick in the draft. So they don't have a first-rounder this year, but they do have 3 seconds. Looking at their roster, they actually have a lot of money to spend. They are almost $61 million clear of that first apron, so definitely enough money to re-sign Siakam. They could probably bring back at least one of McDermott and Obi Toppin. Looking at what I think they should do, I mean, they got a nice core. You got a stud point guard in Halliburton. His extension's about to kick in. It's estimated to make a little $42 million next year. And he's a phenomenal player. He's a good scorer. He's the best passer in the game right now, in my opinion. He led the league in assists for a reason this year. Old NBA guy. Needs to develop a little more of a consistent three-point shot. But when he's shooting threes, the dude is a beast. He's got to do it a little more consistently. You got a lot of good young players. Miles Turner is a solid big man. He's a guy who's a big who can stretch the floor. You got Aaron Neesmith's is a pretty good young player who can 3-and-D. Benedict Mulford, who was hurt down the stretch this year. He's a really good player. He's only 22 years old. You got Ben Shepherd's a guy who flashed through here. Aaron Nemhart played well this year. Another young guard who can shoot the ball. T.J. McConnell's a really underrated player. Always has been. He's a really good number 2 point guard. He's a really good defender. He can score, can shoot a little bit, kind of does a little bit of everything. He's kind of one of those guys. He's like not going to flashy number, but he's a pain in the side of any team he plays against because of how versatile he truly is. And they got some other young guys like Jarace Walker and Jalen Smith. This is a very good young team, and I think they should just keep building piece by piece. They've proven that they are right to contend. The East is pretty weak. Outside of Boston, the Knicks look like a very good team, but still they gotta make sure they keep the team together and maybe another piece away. Other than that, I don't trust Milwaukee. Doc Rivers there, so I don't really trust them. And other than that, Orlando's built to win for a while, but they're still really young. Cleveland's rumors, they might be selling off some pieces. Donovan Mitchell might be getting traded. Even if they keep him, apparently that would mean they would probably have to trade Darius Garland. Looks like Jared Allen is going to be traded, more likely than not to be traded. So, there's really no one in the East that really is scaring me really at all. Philly, I mean, they're led by Embiid, which is a choke artist in the playoffs. Miami's pretty mediocre. So I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana's a top 13 in the Eastern Conference next year. As currently constructed, I'm not going to lie, I would not be surprised. They could use one more really good scorer, but I actually think they should look to get better defensively in this offseason. They really struggled defensively throughout the whole year. They were never a good defensive team. That's honestly what kept them from being that's what kept them as a good team and not a great team this year. Look to get better defensively. I don't think there's a reason they should be star chasing yet. I don't think there's a need quite yet. Bring back Siakam. It's a team that's really good offensively, is very deep. You have a veteran coach, Rick Carlisle, who did a terrible job in the conference finals against Boston. But overall, is a pretty good coach. Obviously, he's been around a long time now. I mean, his second stint with Indiana. Obviously, he was in Dallas for a while, won a championship there. 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks. But, they got a very good young team. I just think they need to get a little bit better defensively. So that's the Indiana Pacers off-season review. Up next, let's go to a team I just mentioned, the Orlando Magic. So the Magic kind of came out of nowhere a little bit this year, ends up making the playoffs, and then you take Cleveland to 7 games in the first round of the postseason. The free agents, not a ton of guys. Markelle Fultz, who has gotten better, but is still far across from what we thought it was going to be when he was the first pick in the draft back in 2017 or 2018, whatever it was. Gary Harris is a free agent. Chuma Okeke. That's really it. They have the 18th pick in the draft, also have pick number 47. Have a non-taxpayer level and a biannual exception. And they are like $7 million clear of the first agent. So Orlando, they got a lot of money to spend. And I'm actually very interested in what Orlando does. They have a lot of really good young players. Highlighted by Paulo Banchero, only 22 years old. He's an absolute stud. I'm really excited to see what he does in his career. Jalen Suggs, only 23 years old. He's a really good, young, talented player. Cole Anthony's pretty good. He's only 24. Wendell Carter's turned to a solid big man. He's only 25. Franz Wagner, he was horrible in Game 7 against Cleveland. Might have cost him the game going like 1-15, whatever he was, but he's a really good player. Still just 23. Jet Harry drafted last year is only 21, and Anthony Black's only 21. This team has young talent all throughout the roster. They need to get better when it comes to shooting the basketball. That's what has plagued them this year. They've been linked to a lot of different guys, like Thompson. They need to get some guys who can space the floor. That should be their main concern. It's a team that's got young talent up and down the roster. I think Paul Banchero has got a chance to be a star in his league. Still only 22 years old. They're good defensively. Jamal Mullins, who's done a really good job with the team, is the reason he got a forever extension during the regular season. It was a Coach of the Year finals this year for a reason. But they got to get a little bit better defense, shooting-wise. For them, I think they should look at some of these guys that can really space the floor. I'm not guys I've heard Klay Thompson. I don't know how much he really has left in the tank. I've heard D-Love, though he didn't really have a good year this year, so I'm not sure how much stock they'll put into that. But guys that can shoot the basketball, definitely from the Magic, I definitely would look for that. They have a lot of money to spend. They also have a lot of young players, so they can afford maybe to make a trade. Is there a piece out that a shooter that they can get via a trade? I'm not sure. I mean, they have a decent amount of picks coming up. They have a top 5 pick from Denver next year, and if not, that will convey in 2026. So, could that pick become valuable? I mean, I don't know how valuable it is because that's one of the last picks in the first round, probably. But they should definitely look to get some shooting in the offseason. Moving on, let's move to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a lot of big decisions to make. I just mentioned that Mitchell might be getting traded. Darius Garland down. They're all guys who could be trade candidates as well this offseason. They were 4th in the Eastern Conference. They lose in the second round in 5 games to the Boston Celtics. Their main free agent is definitely Isaac Okoro, who's a restricted free agent. Really the only main piece that you have to really worry about. Like Isaiah Moe is on a 2-way contract. And Tristan Thompson, I don't remember. He hardly played this year. Marcus Morris Sr. doesn't really play much. They have a 20th pick in the draft. They have a non-taxman level exception. They, money-wise, are a little bit tighter. They are about $30.5 million clear by second apron. Obviously, the whole big question is Donovan Mitchell. He only has another year left on his deal. And then he's a free agent after next year. So, he's extension eligible. A lot of people think he might get traded. Only 2 years ago, they made the trade. You give up Laurie Marketing, you give up O'Shea Agbaji, who you had just drafted, you gave up Colin Sexton, you gave up a bunch of picks to get Mitchell. You've won one playoff series in 2 years, so it hasn't worked so far. I like their core overall. Garland's a really good young player that we have not shown up in the postseason quite yet. We got Evan Mobley, I think he's got a chance to be a great player. Jared Allen's a very good big. You got Strus, another piece on the bench who isn't bad. They are a piece away. They need a legit number 2 option. Obviously they have a coaching search going on. I thought they pulled the plug on JB Bickerstaff a little early. Not sure if that was the right move. Apparently, James Borrego is a coach that they're looking at. Yeah, he's right now an assistant in New Orleans. Before that was a head coach in Charlotte for 4 years before Steve Clifford got his second stint over there. It might not be the worst thing to trade Mitchell. I just don't know where this team is going. I look at it. You don't have the money for like a Paul George or a guy like that in free agency. Could you make a trade for a star? You think who's going to be available? I've heard rumblings about Devin Booker. How much would it be worth it to get a guy like Mikal Bridges? I don't know. Mitchell, I have some concerns with him. I think he's a great player. He's a phenomenal scorer, good shooter. No, in the playoffs, he overall has not been bad by any means. He's honestly overall been very good. But he can be a little inconsistent at times in the playoffs. I think he's a little borderline star player. I think he's a great player. It's hard you can't really take that away from him. I'm really murky on the whole, he can be a number 1 option on a championship team. I don't know. I think he really needs another co-star. But how do you get that? Because what I'm hearing is if you might be trading him, first of all. And if you do extend him, well, now you're going to have really no money to do really anything else in free agency. From what I've heard, Darius Garland's going to basically demand a trade at the piece you would like to keep, ideally. So I'm just not really sure where they go from here. And like I said, I like the core. You have a great player, Mitchell. Darius Garland's a really good player. Good ball handler, can pass, good score, can shoot. Mobley's a really good young big man. Phenomenal defender. This is a really good defensive team. Offensive game is getting better and better each day. Allen's a really good, is a nice big to have. There's a couple of bench pieces I like. Max Strus isn't bad. George Niang is a good shooter to have on the bench. Even Dean Wade's not a bad player. But they need another piece. They need another just really good scorer to me. But who that is, how they're going to get it, I don't know. But that's what I think they should be focusing on. Moving on, let's talk about Milwaukee Bucks. So Bucks, obviously, they before the season started, made the big trade, trading Drew Holiday and others to acquire Damian Lillard from the Portland Trailblazers. You put him with Giannis and Chris Middleton. Everyone was thinking the team's going to be unstoppable. And then you end up losing in the first round. Didn't get to Game 7 of the first round. Didn't even win 50 games. Weren't even the second best team. Weren't even the second best team in the Eastern Conference. We have a lot of Milwaukee and Boston. So this team, when it comes to free agents, it's Gallinari and Pat Bev. So not already, and then Thanasis, but I'm sure they will settle with him somehow. They have a 23rd pick in the draft, also the 33rd pick in the second round. That's the second pick in the second round. I'm not really sure how they got that, but they have a taxpayer mid-level, which is worth $5.1 million, and a couple of $2 million trade exceptions. They are right up against the second apron. They are just under $2 million clear of that, so there's not a lot they can really do in free agency. look, would they be in Indiana if they were healthy? Possibly. You did not have Giannis for the entire series. Damian Lillard missed 2 games. This game's 4 and 5. Giannis up the whole series. They're a fraudulent team. Doc Rivers is obviously not a very good head coach. He's as overrated as it gets in this league. Dame, I always thought he's overrated. I always thought he complained a lot for a guy who's been to the conference finals 1 time in his career, and he's now 34 years old. So he is a great player. So I do think he's on the back 9 of his career. He's now 34. Giannis is obviously an amazing player. Well, how he's able to score the basketball inside is second to none. He's an amazing defender, incredible rebounder. Chris Middleton's a good player. He's a good player, great defender. He's a very good shooter, good score. Problem is this team is pretty old. Brook Lopez is now 36. Still a very good defender, can shoot a little bit, but he's 36. Chris Middleton's 33. Dame is 34. You look at some of the rotation guys. Pat Connaughton's 32 years old. Giannis is now 30, if you can believe that. But Bobby Portis is 29. The young talent on this team, aren't even part of their rotation. Guys like Marhan Bokamp and Andre Jackson, who signed as an undrafted guy last year. So, look, this team, to me, they screwed up when they fired Adrian Griffin. They've been coaching roulette over there. Before the year, after last year, you fired Mike Budenholzer, which at the time I thought, all right, you got to make a change somewhere. After you lose in the first round in 5 games to an 8 seed, you don't care about Giannis's health. Then you fire a championship level head coach for a rookie, Adrian Griffin, who, although, the team was struggling mightily defensively, they were 32-14 and in second place in the Eastern Conference. The only team that was better was the Boston Celtics, who seemed like all year they were destined to win a championship this year. And you fired him. I don't even know why. To bring in, the most recycled, mediocre coach possibly in all of sports, Doc Rivers. Gave him a bag, too, which is beyond me why they did that. And they were much worse after they made the move. We're 2 games under 500 with all of his talent, with Doc Rivers. And then you lose in the first round. So, I don't know where the team goes. Look, a team of Dame, Giannis, and Chris Middleton. Almost seems like, and then you look, all right, you got Brook, who's a good big, and Brook Lopez, veteran, championship experience, good defender. They've got Bobby Portis on your bench. You got Pat Connaughton on your bench. Then you zoom out. You're again, only one basketball for Giannis, Middleton, and Dame. Dame's always been the guy who needs to have the ball in his hands. Now he's trying to play an off ball. You hear Milwaukee, it's not really working. Also, you look at Giannis. The guy's amazing. But then they start to look at you outside of the championship in 2021, which he kind of benefited from Brooklyn being hurt. There have been guys on my team who even said, Jeff Teague, who's on my team. He went on the podcast saying, oh, yeah, if Brooklyn was healthy, we would have lost the series. And other guys have echoed that as well. The guy was, losing the first and second round pretty much every year. Now you look, 2 years ago, he loses in the second round to Boston. That was actually 3 years ago, I think. 2022, I think it was. Losing Boston a couple of years ago in 7, didn't have Chris Middleton for that series. You look last year, playing the 8 seed Miami Heat, Giannis misses a couple of games in that series. You lose in 5, Jimmy Butler goes crazy. Of course, Miami had an incredible run that year. Now this year, Giannis gets hurt at the end of the year, misses the entire first-round playoff series. Dame misses a couple of games in the playoffs, losing in the first round to Indiana, a team he should have beaten. But, so now you're looking at okay, something's wrong, So it's almost things when they had Giannis, Middleton, and Drew Holiday, it was when those 3 are together, this team is unstoppable. But if even one of those guys is out for 2 weeks, the team falls apart. Look, when Giannis, Middleton, Dame were together, for the most part, they were a really good basketball team. But then you saw, when Middleton missed time, they really struggled. And when Giannis gets hurt, or Dame gets hurt, whenever you're missing a player like that, yes, obviously you're going to struggle a little bit. But like, if these guys got to stay healthy, and they gotta get it done. So I'm not and this team, there was a lot of depth in that Dame trade. That's the body force of Pat Connaughton. There's really no depth on this team. To me, this is a team that they have a lot of star power, but they're also not good defensively. They're not well coached, and they're really thin depth-wise. So they should win a lot of games in the regular season, especially in the Eastern Conference. There's no reason next year why they can't win 48, 49, 52, 54 games again. Be second, third best team in the Eastern Conference. But come playoff time, I have a lot of doubts that they'll be a team in the playoffs that has a big run. But that's Milwaukee now. To finish off this all-season series, and I have one more thing I'm going to talk about before we close out, is let's talk about the New York Knicks. Of course, my favorite team. So Knicks had a good year, won 50 games, and got a 2 seed despite battling injuries throughout the season. And but obviously injuries called up to them. You ended up losing in the second round to Indiana. But overall, had a good year. To me, the offseason is pretty simple. OG Anunoby's got a player option worth $19.9 million. I'm assuming he's going to opt out and try and get a max extension. They'll re-sign him, but that appears to be the plan. Another guy that they should look to bring back is Isaiah Hartenstein. The Knicks can offer him up to 4 years, $70 million. I heard he could get up to 100. I think he'll come back. He's a big part of what they do. He's a phenomenal rebounder, really good defender, especially around the rim. Good floater game. Then you have a bunch of guys, Alec Burks, plus the two are also free agents. You have the 24th and the 25th pick in the draft, as well as pick 38. You have a non-tax player in the biennial. You have a couple of trade exceptions. Right now they're about $30 million clear the second apron, but obviously you got to pay OG Anunoby and Hartenstein. To be honest, I think they should run this back again. This team healthy. And with Brunson, who's obviously turned into a star. DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle healthy, and he got a really good year this year. Had 25 and 9 in the regular season before he got hurt. Hartenstein, and on the bench you have Josh Hart, who's obviously become a really good player. Miles McBride. Deuce McBride had a really good year this year. You have Bojan Bogdanovic, who's got a 9-game guaranteed $9 million salary, coming off an injury. And Mitchell Robinson, who I'm very critical of, I don't think is a bad backup center. I think he's a pretty good backup center. I don't think he's a starting caliber center. He's a guy who's a really good rebounder, good shot blocker, can defend, but gives you nothing offensively. It's maybe the worst free throw shooter in the league. But if you want to keep him as a backup center, fine. He can do that, playing 15 to 20 minutes a game, come and grab a couple of rebounds, block a couple shots. Get a stop here or there and on the inside. The whole thing is, do you trade Randall because of his playoff struggles he's had? I'd like to give him one more opportunity with this team because the first time he was in the playoffs, there was really nobody around. The team was horrible around him. He's never been a number one option. The second time, I do think he was playing hurt with that knee injury. He missed the last 2 weeks of the regular season, and I think he rushed back to get him on to be there for the playoffs, and it showed. So I would like to give him one more opportunity, the squad, but at the same time, if they can get an all-star level player back for him, who can give you the same value, and you have a little more confidence with going into the playoffs. I'm not against that, but you think, all right, who would that be? You think, would Utah do it for Lauri Markkanen? Markkanen's a guy who's similar to Randall, is a big that can shoot. He he'd be, I think, would be a good replacement. He's a really good scorer, can shoot the ball very well. He's got good size, really good stretch four. Not a good defender, but Randall Rory isn't a defender either. So that could work. You think, they really need a legit second option next to Brunson, so that they need one more piece. But, this is still a very young team. Considering where they were the last 25 years before, like, last year, they're miles ahead of where they were. They built overall a good team. So, honestly, I probably will run it back and maybe, sniff around and see if there's a legit score that they can get, because they got a lot of young players. And they got those 2 first-round picks as well. So that's it for that series. And then one more thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about the WNBA. So the USA Women's Olympic team was named the other day. And so overall, the team, it's a pretty star-studded roster. But there was one name that, of course, eluded the roster. That name was Caitlin Clark. This is the roster. It's Nafisha Collier from Minnesota. She's a returner to this team. Kalia Cooper from Phoenix, who's a first-timer. Chelsea Gray from Vegas. Her second Olympic run. Brittany Griner, of course, from Phoenix in their third. Serena Ionescu, of course. Jewel Lloyd from Seattle is making her second Olympic run. Kelsey Plum, of course, is an incredible scorer. Brenda Stewart, of course, from New York. New York Liberty. Deanna Taurasi, one of the all-time greats. Been in these Olympic every time since 2004. So Thomas, another really good young player, making her Olympic debut. Asia Wilson, who was a great player. She's having a phenomenal season. She's back on the team. And then Jackie Young from Vegas as well. To me, it is just pathetically embarrassing that Caitlin Clark is not on this team. It has nothing to do with basketball. Look, would she be on the bench 90% of the time? Of course she would. This team is really good. WNBA until this year has not gotten much attention, and most fans probably recognize a lot of people on this list. Serena Ionescu, oh yeah, she's a dog. She's a great player. Brittany Griner, oh yeah, she's been in the league for a while. Her size will be very useful. In Olympic play. Kelsey Plum, oh yeah, she can score with anybody in the league. Brenda Stewart, oh yeah, she's a great player. Deanna Taurasi is a legend. Asia Wilson is having a great start to this season. Like, oh, this is a really good team. All these players will get minutes more. Will she be sitting on the bench the whole time? Yes, of course. That being said, like, look, I know this team, they've always gone pretty veteran heavy. You'd think, all right, players like Angel Reese isn't on the team. You got, other players. At one point, Shanae, whatever her name is, wasn't on the team. She was averaging 26 points a game at the time. Caitlin Clark is a rookie. But, so let me get this straight. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but this women's Olympic team has won the gold medal 7 times in a row. I bet you didn't know that. I did not even know it until about a week ago when this came out, and I was like, ooh, I should cover this on my show. Let's do some research. I didn't even know that. Why? Because the team gets zero attention. When have you ever heard about the women's Olympic basketball team? You've heard about the men, of course. The USA team, you had a dream team in 92. You had the Redeem team in 2010. And, you had the last few teams are winning gold every single year. Well, the women's team, you've never heard of. You think, oh, probably because they're not that good. Oh, no, they're just as dominant, if not more dominant. The team is, every year, they pull everybody out. They cruise to gold medal year after year after year. And because the WNBA has gotten no coverage, it's finally getting coverage. You're finally, selling out. Teams have had to move into like NBA stadiums so they can fit more fans because their like 4 or 5 feet stadiums weren't enough capacity, and you still were selling out those stadiums. A lot because of Caitlin Clark. Everyone says, oh, well, because of Andrew Reese. Like, Not really because of injuries. Not really. Is she a tiny part of it? Maybe. Maybe she's she's like a little speck in the corner. But the other 99.9%, it's Caitlin Clark. It's Caitlin Clark. And you decide to leave her behind. That is just, the pettiness behind that is just absurd. And it's embarrassing. And apparently the rumor was because she has such a following, they were going to, complain about her getting limited playing time. Okay. I think you would much rather people debate why is Caitlin Clark not playing than why is Caitlin Clark not on the team, period. People will debate why she's not on the team for a few days. Oh, and by the only reason that would last more than 7 days, that discussion, because there is nothing else to talk about in sports. It's June 11th, MLB season, not that much going on. The season's so long, it's really only, unless something, you have a big thing that happens, like the thing with Otani, this other gambling scandal, someone has a historically great performance. The London series that just happened between the Mets and the Phillies the other day, a few days ago. Until August or the trade deadline, there isn't a whole lot to talk about in baseball. NBA, it's the finals. So NBA is going to be over very soon. NHL it's the Stanley Cup, so that's going to be over very, very soon. NHL, it's not even training camp yet. So all right, you can think about, all right, this team's probably going to be good, this team's probably going to be bad. You can do that, but other than that, there isn't a whole lot to talk about in the NFL. It's mini camp right now. Training camp hasn't even started. I don't think it starts for another month. There's nothing to talk about. Like college football is in the offseason, college basketball is in the offseason. If there was more things to talk about, when Caitlin Clark not playing that much in the Olympics, that would get talked about for 2 minutes. Because there's nothing else to talk about, because it's dead right now, it might get talked about for a week. But you leaving her off the team, I don't care what else is going on, because how stupid it is, everybody's going to be talking about that, and they're not going to stop talking about it. That is just terrible. If that's the reason, that is annoyingly bad. That is terrible. That is just embarrassing. That is so freaking stupid. Come on. Also, are we sure she doesn't deserve to be on a team? Are you sure Kalia Cooper deserves to be on a team ahead of her? Are you sure? Even if, all right, you could argue, all right, maybe basketball she shouldn't be on the team, but this is not about basketball. It never was. The whole thing about the WNBA, they're finally have a chance to grow the game and get eyes on them, and be on ESPN every night. And that's all because of Caitlin Clark. And you leave her off the Olympic team, which is the first time in forever can get the attention they deserve and warrant because of how dominant they have been. Look, with her or without her, there is not a single team that will get within 30 points, if not 40 points, whether she's on the team or not. But that's not the issue here. The fact that they leave, Lisa Leslie is maybe the greatest player in the history of the league, said, I don't know how you leave the country without her. And she is 1,000,000,000% right. On top of the fact that she is as reliable a source as it can get, of course, she is 100% correct. How is she not on the team? Her sitting on the bench for 90% of the Olympics is a better scenario than her leaving her off the team. I don't understand how you can be that petty, that jealous, and just be that just moronic. That is absolutely horrible. You had an incredible chance to continue to grow this game, and you blew it. WWE has been handed just everything on a platter. The women's basketball gods went, here's a once-in-a-lifetime superstar that you're probably not going to get for a very long time. Paige Bueckers is incredible, and she's going to come out next year. But she's not going to bring what Caitlin Clark brings. Maybe she's an incredible player. Maybe she sits at the same table as Caitlin Clark when it comes to her play style on the court. But the other stuff that Caitlin Clark is bringing in, Paige Bueckers isn't going to do that. Nothing against her. Juju walked to South Carolina. won't get past probably the second or third pick in the draft. She'll be coming out. I don't follow up close enough, but probably in a year or two, I would think. Is she, almost as good as Caitlin Clark? I think so. Will she bring in all these other stuff like Caitlin Clark is bringing in? No. There's not a shot against Juju Watkins. There's not a shot at Paige Buckers. They are incredible basketball players. They will be stars in the WNBA for a very long time when they get there. They're going to go down with some of the greatest NCAA women's players ever, along with Caitlin Clark and all those other ladies. They'll be sitting at the same table there. But no one was handed Caitlin Clark. They were handed the opportunity to finally grow the game and be a legit outlet that people watch. And they are in danger of blowing it. This was a complete missed opportunity to grow the game, and whoever makes that decision should be absolutely embarrassed and ashamed of themselves. That's all I have to say on that front. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.